Welcome to Criminally Creative. Today is Friday, October 28th, and this is episode 35. I'm Susan. You can find me on Ravelry as Legal Eagle and on Instagram as Criminally Creative Podcast. If you are new, thank you for checking me out. If you are returning, I appreciate you coming back. It has only been not even 2 weeks since I last recorded. I recorded 2 weeks ago tomorrow, but if you watched the previous episode, you know that I had my mountain weekend staff and everything, so I've got a lot of hauls, so I figured I better get on here and show it to you. So this is going to be a little light on the projects and a little heavier on the haul, but I will try to remember to timestamp below, which it's just occurring to me, I think I forgot to do last episode, so that if you don't care about the haul, or if you don't care about the knitting or the stitching and just want to get to the haul, you can jump around to where you want. So anyway, so let's get going. Hearsay mainly is that last weekend I went to the mountains with a couple of girlfriends. It was SAF weekend, which is Southeastern Animal Fiber Fair, at the Western North Carolina Fairgrounds and Ag Center in Fletcher, North Carolina, which is just outside of Asheville. My friends Michelle and Peggy and I went up Wednesday night. We managed to visit, I think, every quilt store in Western North Carolina, as well as SAF, and we even found a cross-stitch store we didn't know existed. So we drove up. Michelle and I left late Wednesday morning, and we stopped in Greensboro at the store at Stitch Point on Friendly in Greensboro, which is cross-stitch, needlepoint, and yarn, knitting, and crochet. Just because, and I actually had a couple of full cards, the rewards cards for there. So, I bought a bunch of floss there. I kitted up, got some floss for a couple of different projects I wanted to do. And then we had lunch in Greensboro and then headed on up to the mountains and met Peggy at the house that we had rented through Airbnb. What did we do Wednesday night? We had dinner somewhere. I can't remember where. And we had dinner Wednesday night at Papa's and Beer, which is a little Mexican place up there. Thursday morning, we got up and went to, we wanted to go to, I particularly wanted to go to Brevard and have lunch because there's a restaurant there called Mayberry, which is just a local restaurant. I grew up with a restaurant called Mayberry's, which is like an ice cream soda shop type restaurant that I think is a small chain, but this is totally different and separate. But anyway, they have the best chocolate pie. So we got up Thursday morning. We went to Beginnings Quilt Shop, which is the quilt shop in Hendersonville. Then we went to Brevard. Unfortunately, the restaurant I wanted to go to was closed on Thursday to prepare for the weekend, is what the sign said. But we did have lunch at another good restaurant there called Square Root, and ended up getting chocolate from the chocolate place across from Square Root, so since I couldn't have chocolate pie. Then we went to Sun Dragon, what is it called? Sun Dragon Yarn and something, I think. Maybe it's Yarn and Fiber. Anyway, it's a yarn shop there in Brevard. So we went to Sun Dragon, and I will show you some yarn this time. I bought some Barocco chunky yarn there for a kind of a sweater vest that I want to make, but that I didn't really want to spend the money for indie dyed yarn for. So, and then we ended up driving to Flat Rock because Google told us there was another quilt store there, but it turned out there was not another quilt store there. It was just the name of Georgia Bonesteel, who's a well-known quilter, but Google was acting like she had a store there, which we'd never heard of, but we figured we had time, we'd check it out. Google was wrong. She does live in Flat Rock. She does not have a store. But we found another little gallery called Firefly Gallery that was like an artist gallery, with artist crafted handmade things. That was a really nice little gallery, and I might have bought a couple things there, which I'll show you later. And then we meandered our way back to Hendersonville, to where we were staying. I think that day we had a little nap on the couch for an hour before we decided to go out and find some dinner. We ate at Hannah Flanagan's Pub in downtown Hendersonville, which was good. Our waiter, John, was wonderful, and it was obvious he was doing half the work in the restaurant. So, um, Friday morning. So our plan Friday originally was we would get up. Black Mountain Yarn Shop and Black Mountain does like indie extravaganza where they have some vendors upstairs in their building. The original plan was to get up Friday morning, go do that, have lunch in Black Mountain at Veranda, which is the restaurant we like, and then go to SAF pretty much all after, well, hit Asheville Cotton Co. and then go to SAF most of the afternoon. But Thursday night, while on Google, Michelle discovered there's a cross stitch store in Hendersonville, which none of us knew anything about. I had never heard of. So we called her Thursday morning because the website said call to make sure that the hours posted online were accurate for the day. And she was open. So we waited and went to her place at 10 when she opened. And it's the back of her house, but she's got like 5 rooms of cross stitch stuff and some needlepoint stuff. It's called Sandy's Cross Stitch. I think it's just Sandy's Cross Stitch. It might be Sandy's Cross Stitch and more. I'll figure it out and I'll put it across the screen. Anyway, so we ended up spending well over an hour there. I'm not sure exactly how long it was, but and spending a good bit of money there. So we did that, and then we drove over to Black Mountain. By the time we got to Black Mountain, we decided we'd go and have lunch at Veranda first, and then we ran into some people we knew there at Veranda. And then we went over to Black Mountain Yarn Shop and went upstairs and saw their vendors and stuff. I managed to only buy one set of mini skeins there. So after Black Mountain Yarn Shop, we left and we went to Asheville Cotton Co., which is a quilt store in Asheville, and bought a few things there. I'm probably not going to show you the actual fabric I bought because most of what I bought is, I bought a few remnants, but most of what I bought is fat quarters for the North Carolina quilt that I want to make, which I showed you the pattern for a couple of episodes ago. So I've just been accumulating greens and blues and browns for that. And I did also buy what's going to be the background fabric for the quilt this weekend. But you'll see that all eventually when hopefully I get around to making it. But anyway, I went off on a tangent there. We did finally go to SAF on Friday for a little while. We didn't get there till almost 4:30. And SAF closes at 6 on Friday. So we basically spent that hour and a half just kind of running through both the expo and the Davis, seeing all the vendors, seeing what was there. And I hit the couple of vendors that had show colorways that I knew I wanted and bought those. And like I went, so I got the Miss Bab show colorway, and I got Ashley from Twist Fiber Studio show colorway. Ran by Susan at Robin's Promise because I knew I wanted a mini skein set from there that I didn't want her to run out of. And she had already run out of just the mini skein set, but she had like a shawl set that had the mini skein set plus a full skein of yarn and a shawl pattern. So I went ahead and got that. And then, what did we do? Oh, and so Friday night for dinner, we went ahead and went to Apollo Flame, which is one of the restaurants we always like to eat at. It is Greek and Italian. Usually I get their lasagna, but I wasn't feeling the lasagna, so I got pizza. And, then we went back to the house and just hung out and crafted for a while. Saturday morning, we got up and we drove up to Weaverville and had breakfast at Well Bred Cafe, which is really good. And went to Five Little Monkeys Quilting in Weaverville when it opened. It didn't open till 11, so we decided to have, originally we were going to go to Five Little Monkeys, have lunch at Well Bred, but when we realized Five Little Monkeys didn't open till 11, we went and had breakfast at Well Bred, went to Five Little Monkeys. And then on our way back down to Asheville, we stopped by, there was a new quilt shop that's just a few miles down the road from Five Little Monkeys in Weaverville called Dreaming of the Sea Fabrics. So we stopped there and looked there a bit. And then we finally went to SAF. So I was trying to think if we got an actual lunch because we ate breakfast. I don't think we stopped and got an actual lunch because we ate breakfast kind of late. But anyway, went to SAF and spent, I think we got to SAF by about 1 or so. So we spent most of the rest of the afternoon at SAF. SAF closes at 6 on Saturday as well. And we were there till probably about 5:15, 5:30. Did a little more shopping, ran into some people. I'd run into a couple people Friday afternoon, ran into a couple more people Saturday that we wanted to see. A couple people that I was hoping to run into were there that I didn't, just never encountered. And a couple people like my friend Ann, I was hoping to see. We had not seen her, and Peggy texted her, and she said no. There had been something going around. She's a school nurse, and something had been going around school, and she kind of wasn't. She was feeling kind of cruddy, so she decided she better not come and infect anybody if she was getting sick. So unfortunately, we missed her. But anyway, so I think that was about Saturday. We decided we were just wiped, so we actually all had leftovers from Apollo Flame the night before. So we just went back to the house and heated up our leftovers for dinner. And then Sunday, basically, we got up and, packed everything up and got in the car and headed home. Peggy stayed around. She has a cousin that lived in the area she stopped to visit with for a while. And Michelle and I stopped in Hickory and had lunch at, I can't remember what it's called, but it's in an old depot in downtown Hickory. It was good. It was really good. Anyway, so got home shortly before dinner time. And that was about it. So that's a long, rambly, hopefully not too fast talking way of telling you about that long weekend. And since we're at about almost 12 minutes in and I haven't shown you anything yet, let's get to it. I don't have any verdicts this time, but I do have some courting session before we get to the goodies in the hall. So knitting first, I have worked on my socks some. Same socks you saw last time, which is Lollipop Yarn Bee's Knees. But I have gotten the heels turned and just started a little bit on the leg. I just turned the heels, I don't know, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. So got a little bit of those done. And as always, I knit my socks on US 0 2mm needles. Excuse me. And those will get done eventually. I think after these are done, I have several tubes that have been cranked that I actually paid somebody to crank for me before I got my sock machine, which I never use. And so I think I may pull those out and try to get some heels, toes, and cuffs done on those and get those knocked out. So before I actually cast on a whole nother pair of socks. I have caught up on my temperature cowl, the high-low temperature cowl by Victoria Myers, which is on US 4 3.5mm needles. I'm doing this out of Fiber Studio at Yarns to Die For minis from their Advent kit from 2020, I believe it is. So I got caught up through, I think Monday of this week is where I'm caught up to. And as you can see, we're starting to get out of all the reds and oranges, and it's cooling down quite a bit. Some of these temperatures are even into 30s for the low, like low 30s for the low. Highs, we still haven't gotten. I think the lowest we've gotten for a high is maybe high 50s to low 60s. So we're still having days that are in the 70s and maybe even low 80s, and then we'll have a couple days that go down, 20 degrees, and then it goes back up again. So, which is kind of typical for North Carolina. So I did get caught up on that. I have not gotten caught up on my temperature cross-stitch piece. I think I've done like October 1 and that's it. But hopefully I'll get caught up this next week on that. And then I did get most of the sleeves done on my ukulele sweater, which I showed you last time, which is this little coat-like sweater I'm making for my youngest granddaughter. I got to the point where I need to do a Latvian braid on the sleeves, and while we were at SAF, and realized that my smaller needles I had either taken out of my bag or had fallen out of my bag. And I looked at SAF hoping somebody had the chalgoos that I like in the right size, but I found one, but they didn't have two. I wanted two to do two on two circulars, but so I need to find the right needles for that somewhere here in my craft room. I don't know if I took them out thinking that I didn't need them anymore, or if they fell out and I've put them away not knowing where they came from. But So hopefully I'll get at least the sleeves done on that in the next few days. And then I've just got to do the like button band and stuff, and that will be done. I did not get any work done on my Ernest cardigan that I'm working on. So that was all the knitting I worked on the last 2 weeks. Cross stitch, I did a little bit more on my reindeer chorus, which is the Mill Hill kit I'm working on. Sorry, I get to this every time and I forget. Let me find, oh, it's behind what I'm showing. So this is what it'll look like when it's done. And this is where it was last time. And this is where it is now. I think I got this guy finished. I don't think I had him all finished last time I showed it to you. And I did a little bit more on Good Company. This is in a brass button bag with Fox. This is Good Company by Plum Street Samplers. It looks like this. Glare is bad. Sorry, I'm trying to... Sorry about that. Hopefully you can see that. I bought this as a kit from, I think, Acorns and Threads. So I'm doing it on 36 count vintage country mocha with the called for floss. And I got that roof line done is what I've got done. Actually, I'll show you a picture of last time, but it was basically just this flower, and I got that roof line done. I did that one night. What I've worked on most over the SAF weekend was my Mr. January gnome from Charlie's Needle, which I'll show you a picture of what it looks like here. And then a picture of where it was last time you saw it. This is in a Gamma's Treasures bag. And it's on a 16 count Ada. There's no name for it. Something I bought at Southern Stitcher in Brookneal, Virginia, but it was, I think she had dyed it. Hopefully that lighting's okay. So I got more of the gnome, not all of the gnome finished, but all the gnome finished to where I had kind of outlined below. I got the tree finished and sled done and the fire done. I've outlined the snow. I've been trying to, as I go, outline places where I can, so that this is something that I can just fill in while I chat if I'm somewhere or something. And that's kind of what I did when we were at SAF. I filled in what I'd outlined, and then I worked some more on that tree and sled. And then what I have spent the most time on this week is my other whip go for October, which is in another brass button bag with Christmas stuff on it, which is Christmas at Hawthorne Hollow by Carriage House Samplings. I do have the hard copy pattern, but not in here. I'll put a picture of what it will look like here and a picture of what it looked like last time here. My goal for Whip Go was to finish, for the year, was to finish blocks 1 and 2. I finished block 1 previously. I'm almost finished with block 2. I should be able to finish it this weekend. It is mostly done, except right in here, I have more of this frost color to fill in all the snow. So all in here and then between these slats. So there's still about 800 and some stitches of just that one color that need to go in. But I should be able to get that done probably over the weekend, if not over the weekend, finish it by Monday night. I'm going to the UNC football game tomorrow night, which is at 8. I don't know why they do a game. Well, I know why they do a game at 8, because it's on TV. And they can fit more games in that way. So I'm meeting my mom in Chapel Hill about 5 tomorrow, and we're going to the game. So we'll see what I get done during the day tomorrow. So that's all of my quarters in session. On the docket, my the Whip Go for November calls have been made. It's numbers 12 and 24. For me, that means that it is Across Winter Lake, which is a Gecko Rouge kit with artwork based on artwork by Joe Grundy, and that is a full coverage. And the other one is Winter Rose Manor by With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. And I'll show you those next time, actually what they look like and where I am on those. I have modified my Whip Go goals a little bit for November and December. Like across Winter Lake originally had a goal of 5,000 stitches. That was a yearly goal, but I haven't worked on that at all this year. And so I'm switching back more to monthly goals. My plan for 2023 is to make all of my monthly goals be 10 hours on the project. So I've switched all my November and December goals to 10 hours just to kind of see how that works, and what that gets me. I know that on non-full coverage pieces, that gets me over 2,000 stitches, which was kind of my goal for most of my non-full coverage pieces this year. But we'll see. I'm just going to see how that works in November and December. And I've also kind of realized that, or decided that I'm not going to push myself to play catch up on the previously called Whip Go pieces from earlier this year that I did not get to. Instead, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus, other than my Whip Go calls for November and December, I'm going to focus on some of my pieces that could get either finished or closer to finished by the end of the year, to where they could be finished relatively easily, because I'm trying to decide. I now have 40 projects. There's only 24 slots on Whip Go, 25 if you use the center one, which I don't plan to do, because then that gives me 3 projects 1 month and just kind of throws me out of whack. So my tentative plan right now is to spend 10 hours on each of my Whip Go call a month, have another project that I haven't decided yet if it's going to be from a wheel that has all my projects, or if I'm going to come up with an actual rotation for all my projects. Spend at least, and I haven't decided, some amount of time on whatever other project I've somehow determined, and then the rest of the month work on whatever I feel like. I need some amount of working on what I feel like to, I think, be happy, but we'll see. What I'm trying to decide right now for my 2023 Whip Go, because I have 40 projects, which is too much. Excuse me, I don't know why tonight I keep kind of feeling like I have something in the back of my throat. So what I'm trying to decide about Whip Go next year is I've got a couple options, and I haven't settled on what I'm going to do. I've pretty much decided I'm not putting any of my full coverage pieces on Whip Go. And I'm not going to do a separate board for them. I'm just not putting them on there. I want to come up with some way to get them all touched next year through whatever I do to figure out like that third project a month that will be somehow concentrated on. But I'm not putting any of the full coverage on my Whip Go board, which takes out, I think, 6 or 7 projects. I'm trying to decide if I want to pick, like, say, 6 or 12 projects and put them on there 4 or 2 times, so that 6 or 12 projects get 20 hours or even 40 hours in next year and get closer to finish, or if I want to put 24 projects on there with 10 hours each and just try to make progress on everything. I'm debating. I'm still working on that. And part of that too will depend on what I've got at the end of the year. So the other thing on the docket is 2 possible new starts sometime in the next week or 2, whenever. Dragonfly Lace Mandala from Chatelaine, which I've mentioned before that I plan to start in October. I don't know if it's going to get finished in October. That was originally going to be my birthday start. When I decided I was going to be at the beach retreat, I decided it was not a good travel project for a new start. So I still want to start that. I still have it kitted up. It's sitting right here next to my chair. So one of these days or nights, I'm going to be motivated and going, I'm start this right now. But I don't know when that's going to be. Also, one of the things that I bought yarn for at Stitch Point mostly, and then there were a couple of skeins they did not have that I ordered off 123 Stitch, is I bought the MPI silks for Liz Matthews Autumn Cloche, which is one of the patterns that just came out at Expo, which I just love. I keep looking at it. So I really do, I think, want to start that soon. I might manage to wait and make that a Thanksgiving start. I don't know. Then again, I also might want to work on a turkey on Thanksgiving. But we just decided tonight we're probably going to my parents for Thanksgiving, which means I probably won't get a lot of any stitching done on Thanksgiving Day. So, and the day after Thanksgiving is the Carolina State game, football game, which we're going to. So I don't know that I'm gonna get a lot of stitching done Thanksgiving weekend, at least not till Saturday or Sunday. So I may not want to tie anything to Thanksgiving. So, excuse me. Anyway, but I will probably start both of those sometime in November, I'm guessing. I'm going to try not to start a bunch of other stuff between now and the end of the year. On the other hand, there's some little things that I was thinking about maybe making for Christmas presents, but I can't decide. When I finish Mr. January, I do want to go ahead and start Mr. February. I have resigned myself to the fact that I'm not going to get as many of those done before the end of the year as I was originally thinking. So now I think what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to keep working on them in order. Whatever I have done by the end of 2022, I will probably go ahead and try to fully finish so I can start using them in 2023 and just try to get them all done. Hopefully by the time the month rolls, hopefully I will have most of them done by the end of 2023 and only have a couple of the like October, November, December to do at the beginning of 2024 so that by the end of 2024 I'll have them all done. We'll see if that happens. Anyway, so that's on the docket. I think that's everything other than stashing for retirement. So I will be back in just a minute. All right, let's get on to the haul. I'm going to start first with the SAF weekend stuff. Starting with the yarn, and then I'll try to migrate to the cross-stitch stuff I bought SAF weekend into the rest of the cross-stitch stuff, which there's not a ton of outside haul right now. But anyway, I know I don't usually, I haven't been buying a lot of yarn. I don't usually show you tons of yarn when I buy just it randomly, but since it was SAF, I figured I'd show you everything I got at SAF. This is in no particular order other than I kind of have it by vendor together. So, Robin's Promise, which is Susan Dickerson, she did own Flying Needles Yarn Shop in Williamsburg, Virginia, which she just recently closed because Robin's Promise, which she dyes, is doing so well, so she just couldn't split her time. I bought this, actually, I may have to divide hers because part of hers is already buried. So I bought 4 skeins of her Songbird Fingering. I got these 2 skeins in One of a Kind, which I think is actually the name of it. Not that this is a One of a Kind skein, but I think the name of the colorway is One of a Kind. And I originally got this skein of Pheasant Quill to go with it to be a shawl of some sort. But then I really wanted this skein of Mysterious Murk, which is one of the colorways that is in the mini skein set I'm going to show you of her Great Barrier Reef set. And I haven't decided. This may actually go with this somehow, or it might go with the mini skein set instead of the darker blue that came with that. So we'll see. I'll put that aside so I can show you when I see if I can get this without toppling it. Sorry for the crinkling. I don't want to take this out of the plastic. So this is the mini skein set from Robin's Promise. As you can see, totally my colorways, blues and blue greens. This is the Great Barrier Reef. And it came, the shawl kit came with this color, which is Winter Solstice Black Ice, which is just a really deep navy, which would look great with that in a shawl. It came with a shawl pattern that I don't remember what it was, but this is one of these colors. This one right here, I think. Yeah. So I could use it with that and just not use that mini skein. It just depends on what I decide I want to do with that. I may end up just using the mini skein set by itself in something without another, without a solid. Twist Fiber Studio, Ashley, this was her show colorway, which is called Fantastic Journey, and her Balsam Fingering, just really soft. It's 75-25 merino and nylon. So that was totally in my wheelhouse. Lots of blues and purples, but then it's also got some pops of green, a little bit of gold. And of course, you know, depending on which skein you got a little bit more of some of the colors. I also, at her thing, picked up this skein of Balsam Fingering in Geode, which is just purple with a light gray. And I know I have a light gray of hers that will go with that. She had a shawl, a sample shawl with her light gray, which I can't remember the name of her light gray colorway, Fog maybe. That looked really good with that. I know I have that gray color, so I may use it with that, or I may just use it. I just really like the color. I might double it up and it becomes a hat or something. Who knows? The show colorway from Fiber Studio at Yarns to Die For, and their studio sock is called Wine Country, which is pinks and some wines, which was really pretty. I like that. I got Miss Bab's show colorway, which was called Orchid Fantasia in Putnam, which is her 75-25 fingering weight, but it's a very round, plump fingering. So again, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that. I just like the color. It might get doubled up and knit as a DK weight something. That was all the show colorways. I got Rock and String Creations, does awesome self-striping. She is getting ready to rebrand as Hinkston Handmade, I think she's decided. She was debating between Hinkston Handmade and Hinkston Homecraft, I think. This is called Home Sweet Home self-striping. She had a sample. It's kind of a pastel-y with the browns. She just does awesome self-striping. I got this mini skein set from Apothecary Fabrications, which is some deep jewel tones. She does some really pretty colors, and that was, 6 mini skeins. And this was the one thing I bought at the India Extravaganza at Black Mountain Yarn Shop. From 29 Bridges, I got this mini skein set. And I don't think there's a name for the colorways. One of a kind. So going a little bit outside of my normal. It's got some blues, but it's got some kind of orangey and burgundy red. So I don't know what I'll do with that, but Forbidden Fiber Co. was there. So if you're a cross stitcher, you know that Forbidden Fiber Co. does cross stitch floss and patterns. But before she did cross stitch floss and patterns, she was a yarn dyer. She still is a yarn dyer. And I talked to her, Leanne, I think her name is. Talked to her for a bit, and she was like, yeah, I used to dye, I dyed yarn and everything, and then during the pandemic, I got in cross stitch, and then I found out there were people over dyed floss, and I'm like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I know how to dye. So, but anyway, so I bought this one skein of yarn in her Fortitude sock base. Colorway is called A Midsummer Night's Dream. I also like the fact that she does a lot of fandom colorways, but she also does a lot of literary and music. Like she's got colorways that are all Neil Diamond songs, literary music. So this one's called A Midsummer Night's Dream. It's fingering weight. Again, I just liked it. So I bought that. I also got from her a mini skein set, a Discovery of Witches Desire, and each of these colorways actually has a name. Arbor Diana, Alchemy Bedlian. I've never seen Discovery Witches, so I'm not familiar with these. Yesabo, Witchfire, and Weaver. I'm butchering several of those, I'm sure, but again, I love purples, but it's going into reds and yellows, which are a little bit outside of my normal, so that I wasn't completely adding to the more blue and purple in my stash. And then, there it goes. One of the things I also got from her is her pattern Autumn Sunset, I think that's what it's called, that I showed you last time, which was the seagull sitting on the pumpkins. I needed a couple more flosses for that, which I got from her. I had a lot of the flosses, but I didn't have about 5 of them, so I got those. And then this is the fabric that the pattern is actually done on. And I saw it and I thought, oh, I like that. I told her, I said, I like that blue so much better than like the tan that the pattern pictures on because she had the sample there and it was done in this light blue. She's like, that picture is of the sample. She said, I just couldn't get the color to show up right. So anyway, so I will like this much better on this light blue. Lullaby is the colorway name. So I got the 1/8 yard of that in 40 count. Which I'm glad I also saw the sample because the sample is done in 40 count and it's much bigger than I expected. I mean, it's not gigantic, but it's just bigger than I envisioned. I had not looked at the stitch count as far as, figuring out what size it was going to end up. It's just, so she had, it fits in like an 8x10 frame on 40 count. Now granted, it doesn't take up the entirety of the frame, but I also from her got this 1/8 yard of Dappled Moonlight in 40 count because I just thought it was pretty. So, one of the things I picked up at one of the quilt shops we went to, I think at Five Little Monkeys, is I got, Five Little Monkeys. I got this Sue Spargo book with creative stitching. I have a smaller embroidery stitch book, but this just has a lot more stitches, a lot more detail that I will probably mostly use in wool applique. So, and speaking of wool applique, may have bought a few more kits and some stuff. So I bought, I'll show you. So from Epicurean Boutique, who has an online website but is a vendor at SAF, I bought this little kit, Blue Christmas, and it has all the wool in it. I also bought this kit, Liberty, and it has all the wool and the background fabric in that. I bought, sorry for the zipper, bought these 3 patterns from her. Mini Dresden Flower, and I got this one mainly because I like the idea of like the different colors and experimenting with stitches on it. And then I got these 2 Christmas, I guess they could be ornaments or just whatever, but the reindeer sweater, I don't think that's what it's called. The Cute Ugly Christmas Sweater is what it's called. Sorry for the glare. I'm trying to, maybe there we go. And Let It Snow Wool Heart Ornament, which has got the cute little snowman. And she had this, samples of this in 2 colorways. This one and then one with like a really light blue sky. So I bought this wool pack from her to make these 2 Christmas ornaments. And then from Jerry at, what is Jerry's business? Wool Junction. I'm just looking back at a bag that I had on the floor. The Wool Junction. Jerry is the one who taught me how to do rug hooking at a retreat. And so I usually buy a rug hooking kit from her. I did not this time, but I did buy some wool for applique. And so then I went over from her because this didn't have any green in it. And got, oh, I forgot, this pack of greens, which has, let's see if I can come up with a good way to show you this. She does these button packs of like 4 different of similar shades, but with different patterns. So I got this green, and then I got this light blue to do a light blue of the snowman ornament. And I also bought this set of teals. I don't know that I'll use it on the Christmas ornaments, but I have it in the bag with them. And then, I'll put that up later. I also, at Beginnings Quilt Shop in Hendersonville, I bought this applique pattern. Let's put it up right side up so you can see it. By Buttermilk Basin, that I just thought was really cute. Would be cute for, my craft room or something. And so I bought from Jerry at Wool Junction all the, sorry, I'm opening this container. I'm trying not to knock anything over. All the wool necessary for that. So I bought this for the sewing machine because I thought with and it's got some, you can see the kind of almost tire track-like texture to it. I thought that would be kind of neat. And then I just got bunch of jewel tones to kind of, you know, I got some yellows for the flower and some teals. And these two for what is supposed to be. So this is supposed to be, you know, kind of the reds and then the teals here. I may actually switch this and make this more teal and this more the reds because I like teal. I like teal better. Sorry, I'm talking behind this. I like teal better, and so I'd rather have more teal than reds. But then at the last minute, I also threw in this purple because, you know, I may just totally change up the colors. And then this is the background. This will be the background for it. So I got all that. I'll put that, I'm going to pause this, get this stuff out of the way, and then I'll show you the few other cross-stitch things I've got. Okay, cross-stitch haul. A couple of randoms. I do the Rogue stitching club for both fabric and floss. So I got this month's fabric, which was Atomic Ranch Clouds in 36 counts. It's very nice light blue. And this month's floss was Gentle Arts. And I won't go through all the individual ones, but they actually all go together pretty well, other than I think that red's a little bright for the rest of them, but, you know, red's not my favorite color anyway, so. So I got those, and I also got, Jasmine from Jasmine Custom Bags was selling some kits that she had, and so I bought from her the Hands On Design Block Party Wool. And it comes with, she had the kit, the pattern came with the felt square for the top of it, and she also had the pins. So I bought that from her. And when I ordered, I needed a couple of skeins of MPI for the Liz Matthews pattern I mentioned that Stitch Point did not have, which I ordered from 123 Stitch. And of course, I couldn't just order the floss, so I ordered the Foxwood Crossings sled heads pattern. I have a couple of these little sleds, and this is one of the things that I'm thinking I might try to make for Christmas, but I don't know. What I really need to do is just give up hope of making anything for this Christmas, but I need to figure out what I want to make for next Christmas and start early in the year. I say that every year. It never happens. Inevitably, what will happen is Thanksgiving weekend, I'll decide 10 things I want to make for Christmas, and I'll race to get them done. We'll see if that happens. So the rest of what I have is what I got from Sandy's Cross Stitch on the Go, I think is what it's called. By now, previously, I probably put the whole name on the screen. But anyway, like I said, she had a full cross stitch shop in the back of her house. I don't know exactly, couldn't tell exactly how many more rooms there were to the house. But it was almost like her husband and she and her husband live in like a bedroom, a living room, and a kitchen, and the rest of the house is cross stitch. I mean, it's great. It really is. So I highly recommend a visit if you get a chance. So in no particular order, I bought, this is a postcard, Great Smoky Mountains. And I'm going to hold it way back here. There you go. You can kind of see. That was cute. She had a model done up, and I took a picture of what she did the model in. I got this Sue Hillis pattern, Post Stitches, Women Who Behave Rarely Make History. And it has the handcuff. I'm trying to do this without showing you the pattern. They're stapled in there in a way you can't say. It has the handcuff charm to go with it. Mill Hill kits. I've been loving these like themed Santas from the parks and stuff. So she had all of the National Park Santas, so I got them. There's Yosemite. Sorry, I'm trying to find the right angle to get rid of the glare. Yosemite Santa, Yellowstone Santa, and Grand Canyon Santa. Then I also got another Mill Hill kit, Taboo Kitty. Henzite, Wordplay, Ba sheep, and it has a little ball of yarn charm that goes on it. This is a lavender and lace I had not seen. It's called Secret Santa. And so I bought that. I'm not sure when I'll do that. There's also several flosses that were needle paints, which were Marion Leavitt Emblems own flosses that you can't get anymore. So I'll have to figure out, once I start pulling flosses, which of those colors were those flosses, and come up with substitutes for it. A Madame Chantilly chart that I had never seen before, because it's from 2012 when I wasn't cross-stitching, called Spring Makeover. Really cute. It's very hard to see, but it says, on either side tree it says spring, and down here it says makeover. I will probably leave that part off. I won't put the words on. A Plum Street that I had not seen. It's from 2016, called Kringle and Woolard. And I went ahead and got most of the floss for that. That little note is the couple of colors I still need. And then a Chessie and Me pattern called Buzzing Round You, E-W-E. That was really cute, that I thought would go. That Sheepish Manor I'm doing is a Chessie and Me, although I think this is a little bigger stitch count. But I may try to get some Vintage Country Mocha in the same count and do that on there. So we'll see. And so I got most of the floss I needed for that, except for one floss. There's a note there. And then I got Prairie Schooler Winter Wind, which is one I didn't have. I like most of the Prairie Schooler, like Christmassy, Santa's, winter, stuff like that is kind of my vibe on the Prairie Schooler. And that is all the stashing for retirement. But what I forgot to show you are the stuff I bought at Firefly Gallery. So I got to pause it again because I got to go unwrap them and bring them over. Okay, so I mentioned that on Thursday we had gone to Brevard, and when we got done, we went over to Flat Rock, and we found this gallery called Firefly. I think it was called Firefly Calf Craft Gallery. It may have a card somewhere, but I'm not sure where. Anyway, when we walked in the front door, I saw the Santa and loved it. But they had several Santas that the same artist had made. And I went around and looked at all of them, and I still went back to this very first one that I looked at. So I don't know where yet he's going to go for Christmas. But so his face is, I think, like paper mache. There's a stand, and it's like a wrapped stick that he's on. So there's no like real full body. And the artist is, J. Mastny. I think it's an M instead of an N. But yeah, I mean, like, so look at the little cranberry thing and the beaded thing, and he's got a staff. And look at that little stuffed reindeer in his arms. Isn't that the cutest? He's got the like berry wreath, long braided beard, very kind of Scandinavian. You can see his little painted paper mache face. Anyway, I'm trying to get back so you can kind of get the full effect. But so I love that. But the woman that was working in there, so apparently the owner has been ill or had some medical issues or something. So some of the artists who are in her store, it's not a co-op. There's a woman who owns it and sells for the artists. Sorry if this is a little disjointed. My husband did not see my recording sign and came in. So the store is owned by a woman, and I don't know if she does consignment. I don't think she does consignment. I think I don't know how she does it, but it's not a co-op is my point. But I guess she has not been having some health issues or something. So the woman that was there is one of the artists whose stuff is in the store, and said that some of the artists who were, all the art in there is from local or local-ish type people. It's the mountains, so local may mean 35, 50 miles away, or it might mean 10 miles away, but it takes 45 minutes. But so some of the artists have been, helping her out by opening the store and stuff when she can't be there, or manning the store. So one of the artists who has stuff in the store who was a quilt artist, like an applique quilt artist, was in the store, and she was working on a piece. It was a black bear, and it was gorgeous. And she had these other pieces on, she had some pieces displayed. One that was a huge, like, couple of black bears that was very realistic. It was gorgeous. It was also a little outside my price range. Not that it's not worth it. It's just, I don't have a lot of flat walls. I can't justify spending that much money on something that I really don't have a good place to put it. But she had one piece that I loved. Just wait till you see it, and I'll tell you why I love it so much. But I'd already bought the Santa, and, I was like, I just can't, not I can't, I shouldn't. And we got back out of the car, and we were sitting there talking about where we were going to go next or wherever, and I'm just thinking about this darn quilt piece, and finally I said, screw it, I'm just going, and I'm getting it. I figured out, I think, where it's going to go. I'm not sure. I got to measure and see if it's going to fit. But anyway, so let me show you. This is called Curious Cardinal, and what sold me is this cardinal's expression. The thing about it, she does applique, but she doesn't stitch it on. She's basically just doing it with the fusible and stuff. But little pieces of fabric layering and layering to create shading and facial expressions and stuff. And it's so realistic, and the expressions and stuff she gets. I mean, like, anyway, let me show you. So her name is Joyce Henneberry. I can't see what you're seeing. But just, I mean, look at that cardinal's expression. Is that not the best thing in the world? And as you may or may not realize, I live in North Carolina. The cardinal is the state bird. Cardinals also, have several different meanings and stuff. They're associated with Christmas. There's some people that believe cardinals are representations or maybe people that you've lost. But I mean, look at the mountains. And do you see how lifelike those branches are? I don't know if I can show you the layers. I don't know that you're seeing this, but there's like 4 or 5 different fabrics layered to get the full effect of those branches. It's amazing. And then, of course, she said her husband's a woodworker, so he uses his scrap pieces of wood to do the mounting pieces on. So, and my husband's a woodworker, so I thought maybe he wouldn't mind this one so much. So actually, this is not going in my craft room. If it fits where I'm thinking, it's going out in my living room under a big cross stitch piece that I did years ago. So anyway, I thought that was gorgeous. Sorry, I just need to set that back down where it's good. So anyway, so that is all the stashing for retirement. For calendar, nothing new. A couple of things I told you about last time. A little bit new. I am going to the beach retreat in February. Excuse me, registration for that was a couple of days after I last recorded, and I did get in. That retreat only has 75 people, and they sold out, for lack of a better word. They had 75 people submit forms within 8 minutes of them opening a registration. So, which I think was a bit of a shock to them. They had expected, I think, they'd had 2 retreats before, and I was talking to Amy at the last retreat, and she said that the October retreat had filled up in like 2 weeks. And she said, I bet we'll probably fill up for this February one in the first 24 hours. And I agreed with her, but I don't think she expected to fill up in the first 8 minutes. So, myself, my friend Michelle, and my friend Peggy all got in. So we're all going to that retreat in February. And that's really just a sit around stitch retreat. They do a smalls exchange, and a couple other fun things, but it's not a class or instructor or anything. And that's put on by Barefoot Needle Arts in Surfside Beach, which is south of Myrtle Beach. And then, as I mentioned before, I got into the Queen City retreat next October, which is the Nora Corbett retreat being held in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I've been toying with the idea of trying to finish my Winter White Santa before that event, or at least getting it to the point where I could put the last beads and stuff in at that event and finish it at that event so I can ring a bell. Because I'm bad about I don't think about that for retreats. I don't plan something that I can take that I can finish at the retreat to ring the bell. I don't really care that much. It's just kind of fun to applaud for everybody, and I never ring the bell. But anyway, so we'll see. I was calculating, kind of trying to estimate stitch counts because I don't have that electronically last night. So, and you can multiply the stitch count of the pattern, but that's like at its widest point, at its tallest point, and there's a lot of blank grids. So I was trying to kind of estimate how many of the 10 by 10 grids were blank and get an approximate stitch count, and it's approximately 35,000 stitches. Now, not all those are, some of those are beads, but there's also a stitch to hold the beads. So I would probably have to get the stitching done by July or August in order to get most of the beads done before the first weekend in October. So we'll see. I don't know if it'll happen or not. Which basically means I've got to be able to get that done in like 10 months, I've got to get that done, do about 3,000 stitches a month. And I just don't know I want to put that kind of pressure on myself. So instead, I think I'm going to try to figure out a way to at least work steadily on it, and just see where I get. So I'm not going to have a big goal of... unless I just get really motivated and start working on it more regularly, I don't think I'm going to push to get that done by next year. So we'll see. Anyway, I think that's about it. I don't know how long this is going to be because I've done it in several videos, but I'm betting at least an hour as usual, even though it's only been 2 weeks instead of over a month this time. I don't know if it will only be 2 weeks next time or if it will be longer, but whenever it is, I will be back again to show you what I've been working on, and hopefully maybe not so much haul next time. And I was very proud of myself because I did not spend buy as much yarn at SAF as I historically have. I also took cash for the weekend and came back with cash. I did not spend all the cash that I took. Now, mind you, I did not take a small amount of cash, but I did not take all the cash that I took as possible purchasing stuff. And then it's all the quilting and the cross stitch and everything I paid cash for. So I was proud of myself for that rather than just flinging the credit card around. Today I had lunch with my friend Pam, and we went to a local yarn store afterwards to get some yarn. She wanted to go with some yarn she already had, and I actually didn't buy anything there. I was very proud. So I'm going to let you go. If you're new, I hope you stuck it out and enjoyed it. And if you're returning, I appreciate you coming back. My subscriber count has been slowly climbing. I haven't even looked lately. I might be over 200 now. I don't know. I don't pay that much attention to it other than, I get an email when somebody subscribes. If I actually get where I'm getting closer to 1,000, I will probably pay a little more attention to it. And if I manage to get to 1,000, I'll do something to celebrate. If I get closer to 500, I might do something to celebrate. I don't know. We'll see. I do have at least one chart I've got a duplicate of that I haven't done anything with that I might do as a giveaway. We'll see. My problem with giveaways is I never know when I'm going to record the next time to actually give the thing away. So, but anyway, I'll stop rambling now. I'm going to go. I hope y'all are all doing well, and I will talk to you later. Bye, y'all.